So this is what early 20th century computers looked like. They looked like women, because they were women, mostly women. Some of them highly educated, some of them extremely organized and very fortunate to have their talents recognized. These are stellar calculators at Harvard College Observatory. And I thought this quote was apropos. All women have stars, but they are not the same things for different people. But all these stars are silent. You alone will have the stars as no one else has them. And so the job of these computers was to take the data and make it into science, essentially. So the astronomer, this is Pickering, this is Professor Pickering's group, would go and take observations and then give the observations to these women who would then organize them. They would essentially organize the universe. And we still today, there's women in here who have laid the foundation of classification systems that we still use today in astronomy. The woman standing in the center is Henrietta Levy. And she figured out a really important thing to make the universe seem three-dimensional. She figured out a standard candle. One of her projects was to look at variable stars in the Large Magellanic Clouds. So variable stars blink, they're variable, their light goes in and out. There was one particular kind of blinking star called a Cepheid variable, and they had a certain way of blinking, so you could know if it was a Cepheid variable by the way it blinked. And when she looked at the Magellanic Cloud is a group of stars that's basically all the same distance. So she looked at these blinking stars, how fast they blinked and how bright they were. And she figured out a relationship between how fast these stars blink and how intrinsically bright they were. So if you have two of these blinking stars, one is very, very bright, and the other one is blinking the same, but it's dimmer, you can figure out that the brighter one is closer to you, the dimmer one is further away from you. So it gives us a three-dimensional perspective on the stars that are out there. The women were not allowed to observe through telescopes at this time. So she took the data and studied all of the images from this. So in these days, it didn't count as science to make photographs into data. Turns out that's most of what astronomy is. It wasn't until the 60s which women were officially allowed to work at telescopes in the US. Some of these women became sort of the foundation, and Harvard Observatory actually had some of the first female faculty members in astronomy after they were promoted from computer. But computers in the US were, in NASA, a lot of women were used, a lot of African-American engineers and mathematicians were used at the beginning of the space program as well. And the first people to actually use digital computers were these women who did the mathematics and the analytics and applied them. They were the first ones to write the programs. They were the first ones to really use the machines as well.